Good morning. Happy Monday. I'd like to discuss Jeff Gray. And there's two reasons I want to discuss Jeff Gray. The first reason is the response I got in my previous video where I juxtaposed him with James Freeman. I showed that Jeff Gray did no actions, did nothing to warrant the interaction with the police officer, let alone the detention and subsequent demands for identification. On the other hand, James Freeman did a lot of things that warranted the interactions that he had with the officers. And I believe I did so without referencing filming. James Freeman was volatile with the officers. He raised his voice. He acted like an idiot. He acted like he was mentally unbalanced. He was confrontational. He was in a location that he was not at that time, according to the officers, allowed to be. On the other hand, Jeff Gray, without referencing his filming, was in a place he was completely allowed to be. He was non-confrontational to anyone. He did not approach anyone. He did not approach a crime scene or officers conducting anything like an investigation. He was minding his own business on a street corner where he was legally allowed to be. And I would love for one of the anti-auditor people who have their feelings about Jeff Gray and want so desperately to express their feelings about Jeff Gray to put into words exactly what Jeff Gray was doing wrong. And please don't mention anything related to photography or filming in your answer. Tell me what he was doing wrong. And you're going to come up with, well, he was standing there menacingly, a la Patrick Star or whatever the hell that SpongeBob guy is. It's ridiculous, and you're being ridiculous. And you should think about why you feel the way you feel. Insert some inspirational quote about an unexamined life here. Energy drinks. So with that said, today, Jeff Gray put up a video where he did provoke an interaction with the police. Now, it is not a crime to provoke an interaction with the police. Many people do it all the time. All you have to do is be doing something where you appear to be committing a crime or some other offense. Oftentimes it's offense. And in this video that Jeff put up, I watched it this morning, so maybe he put it up last night. In this video, Jeff was standing out with a sign that said something along the lines of, "God bless the homeless this holiday," or "God bless the homeless for Christmas," or whatever. But he wrote it in such a way, and he was standing on a street corner, that it would appear, if you weren't able to read the sign from a distance in its entirety, and you see a man standing on the side of the road with a sign that has homeless written in big letters, one's first natural instinct is to believe that that person is panhandling. And panhandling in some areas is a crime. It's a citable offense, typically. And they do it for a variety of reasons. Panhandling, especially on intersections, street corners, things like that, can be a traffic hazard. It can slow traffic. The person who wants to panhandle typically will have to walk into traffic to receive the money from the giver, et cetera, et cetera. And, you got to remember there can be reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions placed on what you can do, even on public roadways. And most places are going to have, well, not most places, cities, generally speaking, will have ordinances against panhandling, or at least if it has become an issue. So he's standing there, and the cops pull up. Now, having them pull up, there is no problem with that. For me, I have no problem with that. I don't think these cops have done anything wrong. They see someone who they believe may be violating some sort of a law or ordinance or something, right? But then they get out there and they know, you could see that they realize that he is not asking for donations. He's not soliciting donations. His sign doesn't say anything about it. His words, he keeps saying over and over again, God bless the homeless, pray for the homeless. And yet the cops persist. Now, why do they persist? Well, I'm not a psychologist. But my very unpsychologist-like interpretation of it is that they understand they've been played and now they want to exercise their authority because they want Jeff's ID. Now, why would they want Jeff's ID if he's not committing a crime? Riddle me that, Batman. All of you police lovers out there who think the police can do no wrong, riddle me that. Why would they demand his ID if he's not committing a crime? They know he's not committing a crime. Am I being detained? He asked. No, they said, you're about to be because I gave you a lawful order to show me your ID, and you haven't done so, which is just a pure lie, but as we do know, police can lie, and they do so often during the course of their investigations. Why would the cop be demanding his ID? I mean, it's just things like this I don't understand as much as I don't understand why someone would have a problem with what Jeff Gray does. What he's doing right there is he is exposing a bad cop. Why would you not want Jeff Gray to expose a bad cop, or at least bad policing practices? This is something that should be taken to the captain of that particular officer's police station, for that captain to be like, look, buddy, whatever the cop's name was, you can't just demand people's ID. If they haven't committed a crime, you say, thank you, sir, have a great day, tip your hat, and walk the fuck away. Why can't we have that in the U.S.? Why are we now in a position where we think that we need to kneel down before every authority? Why do we think that anybody who questions it, who wants to expose it, is somehow bad? If you're exposing corruption, God bless you. If you're out there causing problems, well, then not so much. And now, I do want to say, back to Freeman for just a minute, because before I get misconstrued, I am not saying that the cop in Freeman had the right to do what he did. I'm not saying he was right. That cop is going to have to justify what he did, I think, to prevail, if it ever does come down to a First Amendment lawsuit against that cop. I believe he's going to have to justify his actions, either based strictly on no relationship to the camera, or he's going to have a really good reason for that time, place, and manner restriction, restricting cameras being there. And by that, I think, I don't remember exactly which case it was. I want to say it was Glick, but I could be wrong. But one of them said, like, if there is a confidential informant there or an undercover officer that they can't have videoed and revealed, that might be a reason. That might be, and I'm emphasizing might be, a reason to temporarily restrict cameras while that person is there. But James Freeman, I'll repeat again, he did not help himself with his actions. And he definitely looked like an asshole. But the cop might not be right in having him move back. That doesn't necessarily justify anything after it. If James Freeman did resist arrest or assault the officer, then obviously that's a crime. You can't do that. But if the officer was not justified, if he is not able to justify excluding James, moving James back without reference to the camera, and if he does reference the camera, if he doesn't have a damn fine excuse, well, then that officer isn't going to be on very solid footing either for the First Amendment 1983 lawsuit that James Freeman may bring. So anyway, to sum it up, Number one, I still want to know why people think that Jeff Gray's a bad person, and I'd love to hear why they think he's a bad person without referring to him filming or photographing or being a photographer or exposing officers doing bad things like rolling stop signs or harassing people who are not panhandling. And second of all, I would love to hear why people have a problem with bad cops being exposed or with bad policing practices being exposed. I would love to hear why you have a problem with that. It's the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.